Oh, we're so excited. I think this is like our fifth session. I
Yeah,
look forward to these our one Wednesday a month.
yes. Welcome everybody that's here. We were recording, so wanna make sure everybody's aware. So if you wanna share anything, please be careful with private information. And hello and welcome back to our backpack series training. My name is Vanessa Pollack, and I'm a parent consultant with the Connecticut Parent Center. For those who doesn't know who we are Parent Training Information Center for the state of Connecticut. And by law, every state must have a PTI, and we are the one for Connecticut. Our mission is to empower families for children with disability and development delay of ages 0 to 26, and all the professionals who serve them. We provide telephone consultation, trainings, and programs, and our goal is for parents to become their child's best advocate, giving them the tools that they need to support their children. Today's training, it's all about resilient and young children, and our presenter is our Beth Ann. And welcome back, Beth Ann. It's always nice to see you. You can introduce yourself, and
Yes.
if anybody has any questions, just put it in a chat, and I'll be happy to ask, or you can unmute yourself.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Beth Ann, and I work at the Uconn Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. I work on several projects here, but the population of children that I work with is 0 to 5. But I have the greatest thing about doing my job is providing resources to families, to educators, anyone that works in the 0 to 5 population. But one of my favorite things that I love to do is trainings for families. So today we're here. I'm pretty sure this is our 5th training. And I know we had a set schedule, but I kind of stopped and looked at like what's going on in our world right now as I drove by multiple gas stations this morning. And I just had to do some deep breathing. I was like, what is going on? So anyway, we're going to kind of talk about resilience, and then we'll talk about our own resilience, as I think that's an important topic for our own well-being as well. So if you've never been to this training, the Office of Early Childhood and CPAC and myself here at Uconn and other state leaders are part of the Connecticut Pyramid Partnership. So Connecticut is a pyramid state, and that Connecticut Pyramid is all about promoting healthy social emotional development for young children. And through that, we want families and practitioners and everyone to use this public health approach that is all about building positive relationships and supportive and nurturing environments for young children. And then let's address the needs of children that may have some challenging behaviors. So that's where the basis of this backpack series came from. But let's dive into what we're going to talk about today. And that is resilience. So if you stop and think about, and I'll ask you, Vanessa, and if anybody else wants to chime in, if you hear the word resilience, what do you think the definition is? I'll let you go first, Vanessa.
I think it's a way that we use to get out of a hard situation, like how we can cope out of something that we can't control.
That is excellent. Yeah, no, I love your answer. Tynesha or Callie, do you want to unmute yourself or chime in, or do you want to just put in the chat box what you think? And as you do that, thumbs up from Callie. So young children, so what I like how you said, Vanessa, it's how to get out of a hard situation. So as adults, our resilience is important. As we think about the different situations that we are in. And we also think about how do we get ourselves out of those situations and try to feel good about ourselves again and good about what we do in life. We have those skills. Young children don't, and so that's why they need us to support them. So they've mastered being able to walk and talk, and they're still learning how to express their feelings. So instead of throwing items at us or throwing themselves on the floor in the middle of the grocery store, we're teaching them how to use emotional words like I'm mad, I'm frustrated, this is why I'm crying. So although we may think that they're too young to understand what's happening around us, they hear things that we talk about in our home. They hear conversations that you may be hearing. They hear conversations if they're in childcare, if they're at families' houses. We're all talking about conversations. So they're not too young to understand the fear that they feel that we have. Like if I go home today and I've had like the worst day, or you guys have had a bad day, how do you, when you walk in the home, are you throwing that out at the front steps, or are you kind of like letting it linger as you walk in the door? And kids feel when we're having a rough time, or we're in a bad mood. So I try really hard to be resilient and not bring that into the house. As sometimes it can be hard. I vent to my husband. Sometimes I call him at work during the day just to vent for 30 seconds, and then I hang up on him. But it's those times because it is hard at night, because him and I never like have 10 minutes to sit and have a conversation. So but we don't want kids to overhear those negative things. And under COVID, how can anyone not overhear what was going on in the world? How can young children not be impacted? Because if we're having a bad day, it's not something that is impacting them. But COVID did. They had to wear masks. They couldn't go see their friends. We couldn't go to school. We were home from work. I mean, it impacted everybody. So that's where we want to talk about how we build up their resilience. So we want to watch for signs of when children feel fear or sadness. A lot of times I know my son gets very clingy and wants me to sit and snuggle with him. Or if they're just feeling like everything is impossible for them to do, we can identify that just by their body feelings towards us. Some children are crabby and they kind of take that crabbiness out on us, but instead of verbalizing to us what's bothering them. And then some kids kind of go back into old habits that used to have because it makes them feel safer. So, if they had a blanket that they used to use all the time, they pull that blanket out again, or walking around with a stuffed animal. So all these different things that they may fall back on. And then they also feel the pressure of what's going on around us, like COVID did, because it didn't just impact our lives, it impacted their everyday lives. And now, like everywhere you go, you're hearing about the sad things that are happening in Ukraine and how it's affected. I actually just had a conversation with my son in the car this morning. And so he decided that in 22 years, he's going to be president and he's going to deal with Ukraine. I was like, well, let's hope that the war is over by then. But it's hard not to feel the sadness that we see that's going on over there. And so, a 2-year-old isn't walking around talking about Ukraine, but a child over 5 can. They are able to identify that. So that's when I see how we're going to try to help with children and building their resilience.
And someone made a comment, Tanisha made a comment in a chat saying that for her, she's trying to find the positive, even if it's a negative situation, so I don't bounce back. So that's
yes. Oh, Tanisha, I think Tanisha joins us every month and she has always great comments.
Yes.
Thank you, Tanisha.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that is really
Thank you for sharing though.
Yeah, I love when everybody shares. Listen, I don't mind that you guys don't have your cameras on and everything, but please throw stuff in the chat. I love to hear what your pieces that you want to say are. So when we think about children, there's 5 protective factors. So we have parental resilience. So that's kind of about what I just talked about, the parent's ability to adapt and recover from negative situations and experiences. So again, like things that we've experienced, like we've had a bad day or we lost our job or We think about the impact on our finances with the price of gas right now. We think about the impact of how everything costs so much. It affects us. And so how do we try to stay strong during those negative situations and the experiences that we're going through right now because of a lot of this more money coming out of our wallet? Social connection. So, you know, always modeling positive relationships. Um, you know, like a good example, sometimes as parents, we may want to strangle our other half, or, that person has kind of not made us the happiest. But I always try to be like, oh, that daddy, yep, he's wonderful. He may not put dishes in the dishwasher, but yep, he's so helpful today. Just giving them an example of what positive relationships look like. And then with those, we always provide emotional support. But when you model good relationships, that's how children view that they should be. We do know that children do experience in homes where you're fighting. Parents could be fighting, or grandparents could be fighting, or a parent to an older sibling. They see that too, and that causes stress sometimes because they just want everyone to be happy. We all as parents learn. There's no book. There is books, but there's no book that gives us the right way that we're going to understand what our expectations are as a parent, what our expectations of our child's development, um, expectations for behavior. So we have tools that teach us about how children should grow, what milestones they should hit developmentally. By 2, they should be using, um, 8 to 10 words, or by 12 to 13 months, they're walking. By 3 years old, they can point out things, they can identify things that are familiar to them. So those are what we expect children to grow into, those milestones. Behaviors don't always happen that way. So we are, again, the model for those expectations around behavior. But true, I'll always say this, and I think I say at the end of each of the training, is behavior is a form of communication. So when young children are having those meltdowns, or having some sort of behaviors, is they're trying to tell us something. Concrete support in times of need is another part of having a protective factor. So having access to goods and services that address a family's needs. Right now, we do know that there is a mental health crisis in our state, in our country. The Surgeon General actually put a statement out about a month ago about how it is a public health crisis. And it's hard because a lot of families and children that in our state, it's like a 6-month waiting list for services to get into services that our kids need. I will be honest and tell you that my son was having horrible anxiety. Literally would cry if he heard certain things, and would just sob and have a breakdown. And so, one of our social workers at his school said, well, let's, get him into the anxiety clinic. That was last March, and we just got a call from them in October for his appointment. So this is what I mean by it being a crisis, that there's not enough mental health services for families. Schools do the best that they can. Childcare has access to supports for mental health, but it's not, there's so much need out there that it's really, really hard. So let's hope that we see a lot more in the next coming few months, when I know that it's a hot topic in our legislation, is providing more mental health services. And then finally, we want children to have the ability to interact positively with other kids, and also as adults, we want them to be able to tell us what's wrong, and then have some self-regulation in regards to their behavior. So learning how to calm themselves down is all about growing. Does it take a few years? Absolutely. I don't think any child really knows how to shut that valve off until at least they're in teens. And then we have teens that go through other periods of their lives as well. So I think this is an important activity, and I hope that you can put your comments in the chat. But I think I'll talk about myself first, then hopefully Jessica can put in too. So when I think about rating my resilience, I will say out of these 4, I worry about things that I don't have control over sometimes. I'm a worry wart. I like just the inkling sight of something that's going to go wrong. I get worried about it. And I have a tough time letting it go. So I would say that would be me, but I do feel positive about the future. I have not had always the best positive things happen in my life, but then through those experiences, I feel more positive about day to day, and I try to keep that positive attitude. So that's, I would say, about my resilience. Vanessa, you want to go?
It's very loud here. I couldn't even hear. What was your question?
So my question is, I want you to pick one of these four and talk about how you would rate your resilience. So are you a worrier? When something doesn't go to plan, it goes against you. So kind of that's just pick
I
one
need
of the four.
silence, please. Oh, I was not muted.
That's okay.
I think I'm very worried. I'm always worried about the future. I'm always thinking about what if. So that's not helping. I try to be positive, but when we have a situation that you don't know, like what's gonna happen, you always tend to think about the negative piece. But I try to teach myself all the time, think positive, everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be fine, and go from there. But try to keep focus on a goal, not lose the sight. The goal is to get there and get the best. But it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends what situation you in. It's complicated.
Yeah,
Sorry about
absolutely. Does anybody else want to chime in or put in
Yeah,
the chat? Oh, Tanisha.
I would probably say for me, it's probably the same thing, worrying about stuff you have no control of. But I would probably say that's kind of neck and neck with when I encounter a difficult situation. I feel like sometimes it takes one difficult for me to just like have that anxiety piece. And then I start worrying about the other stuff. But I wouldn't consider myself spiritual, like go to church spiritual, but my adopted parents, they always used to have this one prayer that they would say to me. It's called a Serenity Prayer. And sometimes I always like tell myself that, kind of like when it comes to the having no control over, I would say that over and over, like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I would just say that over and over again until I almost like sometimes people say stop and breathe for a minute. I literally, sometimes that doesn't work. So I have to stop and say those words to kind of change the words that are in my mind, if that makes sense.
Right. That's such a
Yeah.
good point. And it's so true. Like I love the Serenity Prayer, which some people may use in different programs, recovery programs, but I agree with you. Sometimes we have to accept things that we cannot change, because if we don't accept them, we're just going to be miserable people and constantly worrying about them. Do I wish, I don't know. I was adopted like you, Tanisha, and my experience was not the best growing up. But I vowed to myself that I was still going to work hard and be a success despite, I wasn't going to let my past determine my future. And I think you're right in the fact that we can't change what happened in the past, but we can lay the groundwork for where we're going next. Is it always going to be easy? No, but I think that we've all had challenges with our kids, whether it's our kids having a disability, our kids having a mental health condition, medical condition, and then also the impacts of COVID. And so we've all had these. That's what comes in common in everyone joining this call, is we've all had something going on. And so what path can we make for ourselves that will lead us to more positive in the future? Did that make sense, or did I ramble? Callie or Ludmilla, do you guys want to share? This part of the training is about us as adults now. It's like us talking about ourselves and taking a deep breath and thinking about what the last couple of years have been like for us. And so where do we go from now? We have some relaxation on masks. We're seeing a little bit more of our community coming back together. People are a little bit more excited about the summer coming and being able to spend more time with family. And I think out of a lot of it is people are really appreciating family. I think everyone has a different view on appreciation as we come out of all of this, as long as no more variants come across.
I think the hardest one is like when, for me at least, when the things don't go as I plan, it's hard to kind of get it out of it because I don't know if everybody here is like that, but you imagine this whole plan in your head that everything's going to be this way and it's going to work out, if you're planning, like I'm going to give an example. We planned to go to the beach last year because my son used to love the beach
Yeah.
when he was younger. And I made huge elaboration about this trip and everything's planned in my head. Everything's going to be this way and that way. And then when we got there, after driving over 10 hours, we enjoyed everything, but didn't go nothing like I planned. Even put his feet on the water. And I was frustrated. I was very frustrated, but I'm like, you know what? We're here. We made it. Everybody's healthy. And we're going to try to get the best out of it because I was getting because a lot of things didn't go as I planned. I was getting the frustration. I noticed what you said in the beginning, the kids starting absorbing that feeling that I was having, even though for them, everything seems cool in my head. The plan didn't go as I planned, but for them, everything, hey, we're here, we're cool,
We're good.
And then I try like change and try to do, the last part, which is like feel positive and like, let's enjoy it. We're here, we survive, everybody's healthy. If he goes in the water, he goes in the water. If not, we play in a pool. I didn't have to drive all the way there for a pool, but we enjoy ourselves. And I try to kind of let that plan that didn't go as we planned and aside and keep enjoying other moments. But it's not always easy. You just have to remind ourselves, think positive, and always going to go as you plan. And try to find a strategy to kind of take a deep breath and keep it going.
I know. And like, this morning, I was trying to explain to my 8-year-old the thoughts about, sometimes, some days we think we have it bad because our wants aren't met, our unrealistic wants aren't met as children. And I said to him, I was like, let's think about what the children are going through in Ukraine. Like, he's well aware of what's going on over there. And so he said, I said to him, I said, how would you feel if you had to leave our home and you're only allowed to take one bag? He goes, oh, no, I'll take 10 bags. I go, nope, one bag. I said, because who's going to carry the 10 bags? And so explain it. And he was like, yeah, we're really lucky here in America. And so I said, yeah. And I said, that's why we need to feel appreciative of what we have and how we're blessed to have a roof over our head, So, and to me, it doesn't matter the size of your house. It's the people that's in the house.
Absolutely. And we, like you say, even with COVID start, but we always think, oh, the kids not paying attention, they're too little. Those little ears, they know everything.
They do.
And they see and they hear and questions come and we have to try to be more, explain to them, like you said about, what, if we have to leave, what we carry with us. Because, it's something that we never lived, but it's a reality. It's very hard. Like, I was having a really hard time in the beginning because it looked like unreal. And like to them, it must be even more difficult because it's not something that they live on a daily basis.
Right.
They're little, they hear and they want to understand. And, we also have to kind of take our anxiety to the side and kind of explain to them a little, how to continue being positive and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this activity and I think it's important. And I hope that you guys join us. So it's kind of a reflection of, so there's 7 questions. You don't have to pick all 7. You could pick 2 or 1. And you can put your answer in the chat box or you can unmute yourself. Oh, excuse me. Why are you? Why do you get up in the morning? What makes you most awake at night? When are you most alive? What does success mean to you? And what can you do to make a difference in one person's life today? And if you met an older version of yourself, what sage advice would you give you? So I will say, I'm going to pick number 2 first, is what gets me up in the morning. Obviously my family. And then I do love my job. I love doing this. I love meeting families and doing trainings. And I do a lot of work around child development and children's mental health and early intervention. So I love that. I have a wonderful dog, so I love her to death. And then I would say, I think everybody's answer to what does being successful mean to me. I will be honest, as you know, as I just said a minute ago, like it's not the size of your house, it's the family that's in it. So being successful to me is just that we have a roof over our head, and we have and I'm able to make an impact with families. So that's, as long as I am able to provide information and support families, I think I'll be successful. So that's what success means to me. Vanessa, you want to pick a couple?
Sure.
Mm.
I think I'm gonna pick, the 2 what keep me awake, get me up in the morning is my family,
Mm-hmm.
of course. And I think number 6, what can I do to make a difference in person's life today? I think I do this almost every day through my work, and I think that's what makes me more happy when
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to make a difference. When I talk to someone on a phone and they are very in the dark, they're very stressed, they just got diagnosed with their little ones, or they're very stressed with their school or something, and I'm able to kind of give a little light to them and end the tunnel, so everything's gonna be okay, and hear from them like, oh my gosh, after our conversation, I feel much better. You changed the way I was thinking. So that to me means a lot when I am able and I know that I changed someone or made a difference on that day, even if it's that moment that I was talking to that person, it changed them. So that I really like. What keep me awake at night, it depends, can be for the children. Like last night my daughter was sick, but in general it's like, the worry about the future, things that, everybody worries about things, but I try, tomorrow's going to be a new day, everything's going to be okay. And I don't know if I meet another version of myself, what I would do. I'm trying to think about that one. Advice, if I'll meet another version of myself, the advice I will definitely give you, like, don't be super anxious. Stop being super anxious and have more patience. I think that's what I need the most. Be more patient with things and not be super anxious about things that we can't control. The what if, try not think about down the road. I know everybody does that, but not let that affect my day to day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I try to tell people, we worry about so much the future that sometimes we forget to live in the present.
Right.
And that happens to me all the time. And I try to self-reflect about this all the time. Don't worry about the future, because I don't even know if I'm going to be there. So let's enjoy today and get the best out of today. And then when we get the future, then we figure out how we're going to live that day. But I always forget to live today because I'm worried about tomorrow. And
I think 2020 also heightened that for us as well. So yeah, that was awesome, Vanessa. Thank you. Tanisha or Ludmilla, do you guys want to share anything?
I think for me, I get up in the morning because I tell myself, my kids didn't ask to be here. And so it's my job, even on those rough days, to, do what my parents didn't do for me, and just get up. It starts with just getting up. being there. And so I think that's for me, my kids. I have a husband too, but literally my kids come first. And
That's my
then,
house too.
and then I wouldn't be here obviously without him because he's the breadwinner. But if you ask me, my kids will always be my number one. And then for me, for number 7, it would probably be no one's perfect. No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Like it's a chance. Mistakes is an opportunity to grow. Look at it as a growing thing. And as long as you're learning from your mistakes, then everything else will fall in line.
Absolutely. And Tanisha, if I can just say, whether your husband's the breadwinner or not, it doesn't matter. You have a huge job in your child's lives, and that's being a mother. So it's not just that, oh, yeah, he does things because he's the breadwinner, but you're also have an important job too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Ludmilla, I know you haven't unmuted yourself, but if you feel that you want to join the conversation, just let us know. So I think I always go back to this, is that behavior is a form of communication, whether you're 2, 20, or 40. When we have some sort of behavior, it's to us talking about something's bothering us. I do want to share this phenomenal podcast. You can, if you don't have Apple or Spotify, it's called Big Heart World. You can actually Google it and on the computer and listen to it. And they have this a fabulous episode now, How to Be a Global Citizen. So it's talking about the different, and I think it's perfect for what we're going through right now. So it talks about, there is a boy from Japan, India, Australia, Norway, and they just talk about the different things that make them different in their country versus our country. So I recommend, if you have young kids under 10, share it with them. It's so good. So again, you can look it up on Apple or Spotify, or you can just Google Big Heart World on the computer, and you can listen to the podcast that way too. And then, as I always share, our National Center for Pyramid Model Interventions, I did send Vanessa the PowerPoint, so the link is in there. Again, they have a lot of great family resources, napping, sleeping, how to help your child with transitions. Like a lot of things that I've talked about in the last 5 months is in on this link for this website. It's really, really good. So I really encourage everyone to go on that website. Does anyone have any questions? I just, we had a schedule and we talked about things we were going to talk about, but I kind of, sat back this morning. I was like, we need to talk about us as mothers, us as fathers, and how are we handling all the stress that we've been through? I could try to tell you how to handle stress with your children and how to handle emotions or transitions and give you strategies. But sometimes I think it's a good thing to look at ourselves and take a deep breath and well, for me to get to that being visible and able to my child, I got to take a breath for myself. Sometimes I will go in the bathroom and lock the door and I'll hear, Mom, Mom. I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm not really going to the bathroom. I'm just hiding.
Everybody has a hiding spot.
Yeah,
right?
I also hide. So he has a bunk bed, and I hide on the bottom bunk because no one expects me to be there. So I hide there too. But we all need and deserve a moment as parents, and we all have different situations going on with our kids. That's another reason why we're part of this amazing organization at CPAC, because they provide us great advocacy for that. But we also have to think we come first too. And I know Tanisha talked about her kids come first, and mine do too. But we're not we can't be that person to our kids if we don't just take a minute for ourselves and reflect our own resilience. And that's why I wanted to do that activity today, because I wanted to share the importance of the role that we have in our lives, in our kids' lives, and we are important too.
Absolutely. I just was thinking, you know, I talked to a mom the other day and I told her exactly that. In order for you to be able to help your child, you have to be, you know, ready,
Yeah.
and you have to calm down. It's not easy. And I told her, you know, I understand what you're going through, because I also have a child with disability. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let me tell you. It's like, do what I tell you, but don't do what I do, because I'm not perfect. I have my moments too.
Yeah, we
But I
all
try,
do.
everybody does. I try to, like, in order to help them, I need to be strong. And we need to take those moments to ourselves
Yeah.
and kind
Yeah.
of do something, like join, I don't know, walk on a treadmill for half an hour, go around the block. I don't know. I'm trying. It really works. You know, if you take, like, because I used to keep telling everybody, I don't have time, because I'm always helping this one, helping that one, and work and this and that. And we always put ourselves on the end of the line, but we need to be in the front of the line, because we are the leader to care for the little line that come behind us.
Yeah.
But, you know, try and do something small, even if it's for 15 minutes, start small, and makes a huge difference. Because I'm telling you, I start doing a little bit exercising or something, read a book, or hide somewhere and
Yeah.
just have a silence moment for 15 minutes. It's incredibly helpful for us to be able to help our children in those situations that, like you said in the beginning, they can't express to us why they're frustrated, why they are acting like that. And we need to be strong to be able to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's I a couple of years ago, like I think I had to get a physical or something, and I said to the doctor, I think I have onset dementia. And she like looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, no, seriously, I think I have onset dementia. And she was like, oh, excuse me. She was like, no, you're a parent. And I go, oh, okay. Because I literally like used to be on top of everything. Like I would tell you like appointments 2 weeks out in advance. Now I don't even know what I'm making for dinner tonight. Like I just, but it was quite funny. So
Yeah, no, trust me, I did the same thing. I started smiling because I'm like, oh my gosh, I did the same thing. Like, I was supposed to go put us on Facebook Live, but we start talking and I'm like, oh, I forgot the Facebook. I didn't want to put
that's
it
okay.
as we start, but we recording. At least I
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
We can do it. But
So, but I will say, I thank everyone for joining us today.
yes,
And I think we have April and May. So
excellent.
yeah, and Tanisha or Lumila, if there's topics that you specifically are looking for, just let Vanessa know, and we're happy to cover those topics. And we always love when everybody joins us.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in a chat our phone number of CPAC. You
Great.
can always call us or email.
Yeah, I'm gonna put mine in too. So if anybody wants to email me with topics that they like to see. So
I have a lot of topics for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. For sure.
But thank you everybody to join us today.
Yes.
Stop recording.